Hey, it's Pallavi Kashyap. Welcome to the podcast. Hello and welcome everyone. And in today's episode, I have my dear friend who's joining me all the way from Singapore. His name is Rayson Choo. A little bit about Rayson. Rayson is dubbed as a celebrity whisperer. What he does is he picks the brains of the best entrepreneurs from across the globe, such as Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, and the likes, to find out from them some of the most simple and effective steps that millennials can take to experience success in the swiftest and most effective way possible. And he does this through his podcast, The Raygacy Show. The millennials who have listened to the podcast have experienced personal transformation from the tips and wisdom shared periodically. Rayson's mission is to inspire people around the world, creating more impact, legacy, and join with his unique experience and knowledge that he has on personal mastery, personal branding, and professional networking. He has been featured on numerous media, both locally and internationally, such as the Straits Times, 938.live, some local Chinese newspapers, Brainz Magazine, to name a few. And without much further ado, I want to welcome Raygacy to my show. Raygacy and Rayson Choo to my show. Welcome, Rayson.
Hey, hello everyone, and thank you so much, Pallavi, for having me on your podcast. Really, really honored and to be, I would say probably the first Singaporean to be on your podcast as well.
Yes.
It's really my honor to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a very busy human being and you are involved in so many other projects, and which is why I want to especially wholeheartedly thank you. And I want to ask you a few questions because you're really doing well in your space. You have different profiles and you've been excelling in all your profiles. So to start with, my first question is, I see that in your bio, you mention everywhere as a celebrity whisperer. So I wanted to know, and my audience is also curious to know what that means.
Sure. So, Pallavi, have you heard of this thing called dog whisperer or even cat whisperer?
No.
Okay, so basically what dog whisperer does or cat whisperer does is that they are able to be with dogs and cats, and they are able to distinguish what they want, and they are able to care for them and know how to actually provide the interest and all to these animals, and be able to know what they want to do next and all this other stuff. So these are the people that actually can, once they are with all these dogs and cats, they will just keep coming towards this person. These cats and dogs will want to be with this person because this person knows how to interact with them, knows how to connect with them. That's why these people are actually called dog whisperers or even cat whisperers. But for myself, I'm called the celebrity whisperer because I would say many of these people that has interviewed me, or even some of my acquaintances in this realm of personal development, they notice that I've been able to interview all these great celebrities like Cardone, Gary Vee, Steve Sims, John Lee Dumas, and all these other people. So they refer me as this person, as this thing called the celebrity whisperer, because they felt that I could just talk to any of these people. Like, without a doubt, I could just land myself onto, I would say, onto not just their profile or their YouTube channel, or even like landing myself on their Instagram, social medias, and all this other stuff. I'm able to actually be with them for a few days or a few moments to capture some IG stories, or even to have them sitting down with me one to one, or one is to two or three of them, to actually chat and record all these chats and all these questions and all this thing as a podcast, in a sense, as an episode of a podcast. So this is something that I've been dubbed as. So that's why many people would want to have that experience with me, to be able to speak with me on the podcast, and also at the same time to even like yourself having me on your podcast to add as many, I would say, value to the audience as possible.
Right. Very interesting. My next question is, Rayson, you you are also working. It's like you have you're wearing different hats. You work and you, as well as you're an entrepreneur. So out of these two roles, where do you think you're most alive?
Well, I would say that I do feel alive in both set of positions that I have. One as a psychiatric nurse, and the other one as an entrepreneur in the sense of a podcaster as well as a coach. I would say that I do feel alive in both of them because I am adding value to not just my clients, but also my patients as well. And of course, the one that if you were to ask me which one I were to choose, right, of these two, I would say the one that is more towards entrepreneurship because I have I have the heart and soul for entrepreneurship. That's why my podcast is not about mental health. My podcast is not about nursing, but it's about entrepreneurship and success and personal development, growth, and all this other stuff. Because this is something that I really love, something that I really want to actually excel on, and that is to be somebody that is of value to not just my family, but also to the community around.
And I also read your story somewhere that you had chosen to become a nurse because of some situation in your family.
Yeah.
Yeah. So would you like to say something on that?
Sure. This is actually something that is very dear to me because everything happens when I was very young, like I was 7 years old. And that was the time when I realized that being, I would say, a 7-year old can be as naive as possible, but it doesn't mean that everything is all fairy tale like when you are young. Because when I was young, my mom, in fact, left my dad and I because of her mental condition called schizophrenia. And we thought that we could actually have dinner together on this very night, but somehow or other she chose not to come back and she decided to disappear for a while. And this a while, it wasn't 1 day or 2 days kind of thing, it was a month. And within this month, my dad actually received a letter from her saying that she would like to divorce him. And that was the time where reality hits us really hard. And it got us to think that, hey, this is something that is, I would say, very substantial in our journey, in my journey as well. It's something that is, I would say, traumatic, but yet it's something that teaches us on the importance of mental health and also how we should look at people with mental illness. And of course, I would say that throughout my journey with her, I realized that I want to actually learn how to care for her and learn how to talk to her. And that led me to become a psychiatric nurse. But before I joined psychiatric nursing, I was actually in I would say, a Japanese clinic job, which I thought I would excel in there, or I would say I would stay there for a few years. But apparently, I didn't live up to the manager's expectation, and I was very lost, and I made many mistakes during that period of time. And that was the first time I ever gotten a letter from my management at that point of time, and that was saying that I was being fired. So so I've never been fired before. Never been given a letter to say, hey, you should not work here anymore, right? I've not been through that, but because of my inexperiences and also at the same time a toxic relationship with my ex-girlfriend, I realized that it's time to actually become better. So that's why I decided to work on myself, and lo and behold, I actually chanced upon this opportunity to actually be a psychiatric nurse, and that's where my heart went for it. And I took that leap of faith because of my mom,
Interesting.
and at some time,
Yeah.
because of being laid off, and
So many
I would
incidents.
say
Yeah.
reflecting a lot of reflections and all, and I decided to become a
Mhm.
psychiatric nurse.
Mhm. And in this journey, from where did the Raygacy Show, the podcast, how did that happen?
Yeah, so basically, for the Raygacy Show, how it all happened was in 2017. I was actually, I would say, not just 2017, in 2014, in fact, I
Mhm.
was pretty much inspired by this person called Joel Brown, who
Okay.
has this podcast called Addicted to Success.
Okay.
So I was listening to him, and I was also watching Lewis House on YouTube,
Mhm.
where he was interviewing Tony Robbins in his private jet, and I was thinking to myself, wow, if these guys who were pretty young at that point of time,
Mhm.
and also at the same time they were pretty new in this industry, so they were able to go and interview people, and not just any Tom, Dick, and Harry, but there are people who are of value and caliber, like Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, and all these other people. And I was thinking to myself, hey, if they can do it, why can't I? Right? So this actually transpired, and it took me about 3 years to actually decide on having my own podcast. And in 2017, the Raygacy Show was born, and that was the first time where I actually decided to use Facebook Live to interview my guests. And even to today, I'm still using Facebook Live and LinkedIn Live, and they are all in iTunes and Spotify and Google Podcasts as well. So how it transpired was because I thought that Facebook Live should be something that is positive in a sense. Because
Mhm.
at that point of time, I saw a lot of negativity over there. People fighting. There are people who film people being bullied, and they were doing Facebook Live on over there. Or some people were having live videos on accidents, and even people contemplating on suicide and all this other stuff. So I thought, why not do something more interesting and more positive, and that is to interview people. Since I've always wanted to have my own podcast by interviewing people, so I thought, why not just give it a shot? And that's where I actually started my first episode in interviewing this guy called Andrew Chow, where he was one of the leading personal branding expert in Southeast Asia. So I thought, hey, since I was invited to his book launch, and I just wanted to give it a try with the Raygacy Show. So why not just give it a try and just
He
ask
accepted.
him
Yeah.
and connect with him and ask him if he wants to be interviewed. And I was thankful that my first approach,
Was
I
a success.
wasn't declined. It was a success. So
Wow.
it was, yeah, thank you. So it was a success, but things could have been better because back then I was just using a Samsung Note 7, I think,
Yeah.
and I wasn't using any mics. I wasn't using anything like this, and I was just using a phone to film very busy place. And all places, I was actually with him in the airport and in a restaurant as well. We managed to find a place where it wasn't too noisy, but we managed to get the show running, and it was about, if I'm not mistaken, it was about 20 to 30 minutes. So
Mhm.
yeah, that was the pivoting time of the Raygacy Show. And then after that, some people wanted to be part of it,
Mhm.
and it slowly grew to this day. And of course, it only had even bigger growth when Gary Vee came onto my podcast. And
Wow.
then after that, more and more people inquired on coming onto my podcast. And then PR companies were engaging me through social media, emailing me, and there are people who are asking me offline to be, giving them a chance to interview them. And some of them even Facebook messaged me and asked me, "Hey, so when are you gonna interview me?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then after that, we decided to interview and all. And yeah, to date, we have about 116, 117 episodes already. And it took me about 5 years. And of course, it could have been better. It could have been more episodes, but somehow, sometimes certain things actually happen along the way. So we had to pause certain projects and we had to work on certain things. And then after that, work on ourselves, for example, and things like that. And then we start the ball rolling again.
Interesting. And but I think the consistency was there, and which is why you are where you are today. So I think the consistency matters is what I've heard. And to my audience who are listening, I wanted to just give you a brief on how me and Rayson met. I keep calling you Raygacy. So me and Rayson, so I connected with him for, when I was in my initial days debating whether I need a podcast, should I start one and all of that. So me and Rayson, we just had a chat, and just like Rayson took time to, get into this space for me. Even I think we met probably a year back. And for me also, it took almost a year to decide if I want to go ahead with my podcast. And, I kept delaying, procrastinating, forever there was a delay. And then once for sudden one fine day, I just said, okay, let me just do it. Just jump and see what we can do. And then after that, let's go. And in fact, that was the best move, because once I got into the game, and from then it has been like, okay, now I need to do the next episode, now I need to have my next guest. And that's how I've been pushing myself. So yeah, we connected for the podcast, and that's how I know Rayson. So I also wanted to ask you, you are also an entrepreneur, and being an entrepreneur, you're also a coach. You are coaching people, but who are the coaches coaching you? Who are your business mentors, your business gurus, or if you have any other life gurus, for example?
Okay, so basically, there are a few people that I actually look up to. I call them as my mentor, in the sense they do not have to directly mentor me, but they have been a source of inspiration for me. So people like Gary Vee, Cardone, Tony Robbins, all these are like my mentors in a sense. But if you were to say real life mentors, I have people like Eric Fung, I have people like David King, I have people like Patrick Tan, who I actually paid him to coach me at that point of time. Wasn't really a biggie like Patrick, because at least I had my deliverables actually done, but I would say they could have been better. But people that I actually met, like Winston, Samson, for example, all these people that I met in real life, they are really, really, I would say, very personable, and they are also very willing to teach me and guide me, because probably they see something in me that they felt like they were before. So somehow rather, when they were guiding me and coaching me in a sense, I felt that they somehow understood me. So all these people, they are like my mentors and my coaches in real life. And of course, Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, all those people that I've interviewed, they are somewhat like a mentor in a sense, but there are those people who actually went beyond the interview. Like, for example, recently I actually interviewed this guy who is a LinkedIn expert called Daniel Alphon. So he actually went beyond the expectations. He went beyond the he went beyond the miles of just being a guest on my podcast. What he did was something very interesting. He even coached me in a sense on how I can better make my LinkedIn profile look professional, and also at the same time more intriguing for people, so that they want to, talk to me, want to be my connection, or they want to follow me and things like that. So all these are something that I never expected, but these people are the ones who are really, like, I would say they're really natural givers in a sense. And I'm really grateful to be able to meet all these people in my journey so far.
Interesting. Rayson, I've been studying leaders and how they define success in different periods of their life. In whichever period you are in right now, what is your definition of success?
Well, success is not like, I believe it's not like what you see on social media. It's not
Yeah,
like what
that's
is,
yeah, yeah.
it's not like what you see on TV. It is something that is very personal.
Mm-hmm.
To someone, it could be being a millionaire. To another person, it could be a billionaire. To another person, it could be owning Rolexes and Lamborghinis and all this other stuff, right? To others, can be, oh, they're just being happy and they have a bank full loads of money for financial freedom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are able to give back to the community and the family and blah blah blah. So it all depends on the individual. But for me, I would say that success is being at peace with yourself and also at the same time being happy. Because if you're not happy and you're not peaceful, you will not feel it. You will not be able to attain that success that you want in life. Because ultimately, success is not monetary. Success is not just physical stuff. Those are just bonuses in a sense. But ultimate success comes from within. If you can't feel it within, you will never be able to understand the concept of being a successful person.
Right. Interesting. This I've been collecting from different people, and no two people have the same definition. No two people are saying the same, and it's very interesting. Which is why because my last guest, he mentioned that he mentioned this very important point and very interesting. He said at different stages your definition changes. Like if you're a family man, your definition for success is different. If you're a teenager, I mean, they might not understand the definition, but it'll be different. So that way it's very interesting. And even when I'm hearing it from you, so like I said, no two person have the same definition. That's very interesting. One virtue, Rayson, for you that's non-negotiable, or one thing that you can never be without doing. What is that one thing?
Oh, the one thing will be meditating.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been using this very phenomenal and easy to use app. It's called Insight Timer. So INSIGHT space timer. So I've been using this because I want to cleanse my thoughts. I want to be able to have a more purposeful and more productive day. And of course, at night, I want to have relax and chill time to wind down, other than, drinking a beer and all this other stuff. I prefer to meditate as well, because it really helps me feel good in a sense. So this is something that I would say it's a non-negotiable for me.
And I also do the same. So we are like in the same zone. That's even for me, that's non-negotiable. And one important thing that I wanted to ask was about mindset. You talk a lot about mindset and in the mindset, in the positive mindset space. So how did this journey happen? Like why why are you so attracted to the mindset space?
Oh, well, I would say that everything, like I mentioned earlier, comes from within. I realized that our mind can be either positive or negative, and I was pretty much negative at a point of time. Even sometimes when I met some obstacles, definitely I will feel slightly negative. But I realized that, I do not want to be a negative, successful person. I want to be a positive, successful person in a sense. I look up to people like Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, Brandon Burchard, Cardone, and all these other people. I was thinking to myself, like, hey, what's so different between me and them? How can I make sure that I'm more like them in a sense, for modeling their success, for modeling their results, in the sense of their behavior and their pattern, and how they can actually become so positive. Like no matter how tired they are, no matter how stressed they can be, in a sense, be it financially or whatever that they're facing, they are still looking at things very hopeful, and they're pretty positive in the sense they're not just positive on social media, but they're positive in real life. So I realized that, hey, this is something that I need to accomplish. I need to actually learn how to, because I myself, my mom had this illness called schizophrenia. And if I were to be as negative as ever, then all the more I would be easily depressed, and probably I would even be easily suffering from mental illness as well, because of the genes, for example, or the circumstances that I had,
Yeah,
for
true.
example, and it combines together, plus my negative thinking, then all the more the chances of me getting mental illness is more swifter and more
Yeah.
faster, and I wouldn't want that to happen. So I told myself that I want to be better, right? And also at the same time, I heard of this by Joe Brown, where he was interviewing someone. I can't remember which doctor he was interviewing. And that person actually said that you are in control of your genes, in the sense of your thoughts. Your thoughts can actually change how your genes gonna mutate or gonna modify itself in your brain, in your body, and all this other stuff. Because what we can do is we can only control our thoughts. We can actually work on all these thoughts. We can make sure that it's positive or it's going to be negative. So I realized that, hey, this guy said something very profound and very interesting. So I told myself that, hey, let's do it. Let's Why not? Let's do something different, right? Rather than being so easily attracted to negativity by the news and all this other stuff. Why not just go and be more positive and be a light for people? And before I be a light for other people, I have to be the light for myself. So I told myself, why not just do it this way and see how it goes? And to today, I'm really grateful that it has gave me more opportunities and more happiness with this kind of mindset, rather than focusing on all the negativity and all this other stuff, and dwelling on what I couldn't do and all this other stuff. So it makes me really interested in mindset because of this.
Interesting. And it was like a conscious decision, and for sure it has
Yes.
helped you and taken you to the right place.
Yep.
Your brand Raygacy, I like the name. First of all, it's ray, it's like a ray of hope, and it sounds really good. And I wanted to ask, like, what is the mission of the brand? Who's your target market, and what do you want to actually, the mission of your brand?
Well, basically, this I would say that it was at first, it was solely very centralized on me, in a sense, because I thought like, hey, Tony Robbins has his own brand, and his brand is actually centered around him, in a sense. So I thought, hey, I want to create a brand that is catchy in terms of the name itself, and also at the same time something that I want to leave behind. Because in fact, Raygacy actually came out from my name, the first name, Ray, and then the
Legacy.
other and the other one is legacy, right?
Wow.
So my legacy, in fact, I what I want is actually to provide as much knowledge, wisdom, and the light to not just millennials, but also millennial entrepreneurs, in particular, because I find that a lot of entrepreneurs are not able to go beyond their comfort zone at certain point of their life, and they are not able to achieve their goals, and they start to crumble and fall, and they start to give up on their dreams, and they start to go back to their 9 to 5, for example, and things like that. So of course, I wouldn't say that I'm a full-fledged entrepreneur who wants to, to help all these full-fledged entrepreneurs as well. But as a side hustler, I realized that, this is something that I want to let people know that, hey, as much as you guys are having your own entrepreneurship business in terms of your items, in terms of your services and all this other stuff, you shouldn't give up. You cannot give up because of your unaccomplished goal. You have a goal, you better go and accomplish it. And at the same time, this legacy is actually something that I want to let people know that if anyone can actually do whatever all these successful people, any one of these successful people can actually accomplish their goal, can already do something, and they started from nothing, then these people who are tuning in or they are watching my growth and they are watching what I do, they can actually do it as well. This is what I feel. Because I believe that, like what Gary Vee actually mentioned, don't listen to what I say. It's all about what I do. So whatever that I'm doing, be it a podcast, be it coaching, be it speaking and all this other stuff, all this are just, I would say, trajectory towards my success. It's a platform for me, a step or a few steps ahead towards where I want to go. So it's something that I am actually working on to ensure that I can do it. So as to show to people that, hey, if you have a goal, if you have a dream, if you have something that you've always wanted to do, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be something that you can do and it will be worth it. So this is I would say the mission around legacy, and of course every few years the mission will change a little. It will
Yeah, of
evolve.
course. Yeah, of
Yeah, it
course.
will evolve. Back then, when I first started, it was just to actually show to nurses
Yeah.
that, hey, or even any job that you're working in, that you can actually do something that you really love and you can get some income out of it, like a side hustler, right? And also at the same time, letting people know that in life there are options. It's not just that, oh, you study medicine, you're going to be a doctor for life. No, it's not saying that you study law, it means that you're going to be a lawyer for life, because there are people who study medicine but then they left and they went to do something different, or people who studied law and then they do not come out to be a lawyer but they came out to do something else. Some of them, they start up their own F&B business, for example. Some of them do something different from what they have actually studied. So that's why I just wanted to show people about that. But slowly evolve into me wanting to help people, especially entrepreneurs, in terms of personal branding and even professional networking, because I felt that in life, it's all about networks, and your net worth your networks equals to your network, in a sense. I was very interested in helping millennial entrepreneurs because of personal branding and also personal networking as well, professional networking as well, because I felt that in life it's all about your networks, and your networks equals to your net worth. So
Absolutely.
as much as you want to do a business, you want to get investors and all this other stuff, you need to make sure that your networks are there to support you, because you cannot be a solopreneur forever. You need a team, you need people to help you. So that's why I decided to dive deep into mindset and also help people with their personal branding and networking skill sets as well.
Rayson, to set up a brand or to be a successful entrepreneur, what are the 5 things, these are the 5 fundamentals, or these are the 5 pillars you need to have, according to you, as per your experience, what could those 5 pillars be?
Well, the first pillar is definitely your mindset. It is something that,
important.
yeah, it's very important, because if you do not have solid mindset, it will falter and it will fall. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
will
that's
not,
like the foundation.
yeah, you need a strong foundation, right? So mindset is very important, right? Next is going to be your networks. Why I say that is because even if you have the best mindset, but you do not have, I would say, the middleman to help you out, to guide you, or even a coach or mentor or anyone, to help you get this opportunity for you, or to guide you towards this opportunity, then all the more you will not be able to go there. Because if you need to figure out everything all by yourself, it will take you more than a decade. It will take a lot of years. Okay, but if you have networks who are able to guide you through, they are like your middleman to certain people. For example, like you want to collaborate with a certain brand, and this friend of yours happen to know the CEO of this person, of this brand, for example. Then you have a connector that can
Right.
help you, right? So this is the second pillar, right? And then the third pillar, for me, I would say that it is all about your consistency, right? You got to be consistent in whatever you do. You got to be consistent, regardless of whether it took you 1 year or 2 years or 3 years to reach where you are right now. It's always about how consistent you are. It's not so much about, oh, you stopped for a while and then you came back again. Yeah, it's fine. But if you stop and then you don't continue, then that is not going to bring you far.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the fourth pillar is to have the hunger to actually learn, the hunger to actually read or learn from people and all this other stuff. Because I believe that every time people say that your networks equals your net worth, right? But in fact, it's your applied networks equals your net worth in a sense. Meaning to say that whatever people have taught you, whatever that you have actually asked from people, whatever that you have learned, whatever that I've learned from all these people that I've interviewed, I apply them, then it will definitely work for me, and it will be something that it's going to be revolutionary in a sense, because it will make sure that you are actually applying things and you are growing yourself every single day, rather than, oh, I learned today and then after that the next day I forgot. Because many people, especially students who are going for their exams, for their degree and all, they are doing all this thing where they go for the exam first. What they're going to do is they're going to learn everything, and then they go to the exam hall and dump everything, and then after that they forget everything, right?
Yeah, right.
But if you want to be hungry and you want to learn, you got to not just learn for the sake of learning, but you got to learn for the sake of your own success, or your family, or the purpose that you have, right? So that's why I say that it's all interlinked. The first pillar and the fourth pillar and all this that I've mentioned, they all linked. So that's why I find that having the hunger is very important. And then number five, the fifth one, I would say that it's going to be, you have to be opportunistic. Meaning to say that whatever that you have actually garnered for yourself, the people that you have, the connections that you have, they are going to bring you opportunities. But you cannot be there just sitting there and wait. You got to find for your own self. You got to go out there and figure things out for yourself. You cannot just wait and wait and wait and wait for the sky to fall, to throw all the gold on you and all this other stuff, to drop all the diamonds on you. No.
Yeah.
It will never happen until you go and do the work, until you are opportunistic. You are looking for opportunities everywhere.
Right.
You got to look for it. You can't be just letting people telling you, oh, you have to go to this person and then you get this opportunity.
Absolutely.
Sometimes probably, you are lost. So this person can direct you. But ultimately, being opportunistic is something that I find that it is very crucial, because without you knowing how to look at opportunities and looking at which is helpful for you, then all the more you will not be able to survive and thrive in your own space.
Right. Brilliant points, actually. Indeed, I'm gonna write these down after the interview.
Okay.
And Rayson, I wanted to know, you're working in so many projects. So, what are the important projects you would want to share with us? The latest ones that you're working on.
Okay, so the latest one that I'm working on is actually NFT, a non-fungible token. So a group of just acquaintances and friends, they actually came together and they spoke about this project where we want to create our own DAO, meaning to say that we want to create our own community and we want to build it from there, and we want to use our own, I would say, brand to represent this special NFT that we're gonna have, and we are a team of about 10 to 11 of us, and also, of course, we are also sourcing for artists, and we managed to find a few of them already, and we are actually in the midst of discussing with them, and we are going to launch pretty soon. Hopefully next month we are gonna launch something. Where we are actually now preparing for that launch, or it will be probably mid-June or late June. We will see how it goes, and we will definitely update everyone through my social media. And of course, other than NFT, I'm also collaborating with someone on personal branding and networking course itself. So the slides have, the content we have already. It's just that we are now focusing on the slides itself. We are actually doing the things that's necessary to before we actually launch it, in a sense. Yeah. So these are the two things, and then of course the Raygacy Show is now growing, because right now I have people who are booking their time for my podcast until June. So and there's more to come, and yeah, and I'm really excited on the opportunities that's available for me this time around.
And I'm feeling so happy and lucky that I got that spot, to interview you.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like I mean, for the Raygacy Show itself, because it's a weekly thing, so
Right.
we have, I would say, people from around the world who are interested to be a part of the show. So they have really booked themselves in the calendar. The speed of it, in terms of the opportunities that's coming, is not so fast as before, as what I had, I would say, for the last 2 years or so. But at least this time around, I'm getting more live speaking gig, and also at the same time a few opportunities to appear like on podcasts and all this other stuff. And yeah, and also I'm actually starting my own newsletter.
Wow.
Raygacy newsletter on LinkedIn. So for those of you who are on LinkedIn, you can go and check it out. And it's something that I will be posting every week, where we're gonna post the insights and golden nuggets that has been shared on the episodes of the Raygacy Show, and even my top tip of the day, or probably even the announcements as well, will be shared on the newsletter, where we're going to share, who's coming next on the Raygacy Show, what's happening for me, what kind of collaborations are there out there, who's going to interview me, and all this other stuff. So yeah, so you guys, if you're interested, you can go and check it out, and stay tuned for more content that's coming out on the Raygacy newsletter.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I know that you have co-authored a few books, and just tell us a little bit about that.
All right. Well, Well, I have been able to co-author 3 books, in fact, and it all happened in 2020, where late 2020, in fact, where I was actually a part of this. Oh no! In fact, I was part of this connections where her name was Ruchi Singh. So she was somebody that I met on, I think, LinkedIn or something, and she was really inspired by my story, and we kept in contact. And she has, in fact, gave me this opportunity to co-author this book called The Growth Hacking Book 2. So it was a bunch of us, more than 10, 20, 30 entrepreneurs and speakers that actually came to write this book. So I was actually invited to write this chapter of mine, and it was pretty amazing because this was my, in fact, my first time co-authoring a book, and I always wanted to write my own book. In fact, so I thought this will be a stepping stone for me before I go onto my own book
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So and also I got to share some I would say fame from all these other people that came on, where one of them was Noah Kagan, who is the CEO of AppSumo. And yeah, this after this book, I also wrote another book. It was actually one of the most interesting. I would say the most interesting opportunity I ever gotten, because this book was not just co-authored with entrepreneurs but legendary speakers, and one of them was actually the late Bob Proctor. He was one of the person that I looked up to, and when I was actually given this opportunity to write this book together with him, I was like, oh wow, let's go and let's do it. I mean, this is something that I never thought I would get this opportunity, but in fact, I got to write with him and also with people like Raymond Aaron, Dr. John DiMartini, and Dr. Joe Vitale, who happened to appear on The Secret before. If you're a fan of The Secret, yeah, you will know these people. And of course, these people have actually inspired me in a sense. So being able to co-author with them and being given this opportunity by my past guest of the Raygacy Show, his name was Douglas Vermeeren. So I'm very grateful for this person who gave me this opportunity, and another opportunity came because of that. So after this, I actually interviewed another lady. Her name was Adriana Monique Alvarez. So we actually co-authored this book together. It's called The Younger Self Letters, if you can see it over here.
Yeah.
So this is something that she gave me this opportunity after interviewing her, because people usually have to pay in order to be a co-author. Unfortunately, this is the truth of the business side of co-authoring books. So I managed to interview her on my podcast, and then she gave me this opportunity, this grand opportunity to co-author together with her and a few other people as well. And then this is a really interesting book, because this book is about us writing to our younger self.
Oh,
Yeah,
very interesting.
inspiring words to our younger self. So this was something that was really very dear to my heart. So I thought, why not just go ahead and give it a shot and give it a try. And I'm glad that, because of this, we are actually the USA Today bestseller for this book.
Wow.
Yeah, and whereas for the growth hacking book 2, it became one of the top Amazon books in that period of time. So yeah, it is one of the Amazon bestseller back then. So it was magical for me, I would say.
So happy for your success.
Thank you. I mean, without this podcast, I wouldn't be able to source out all these opportunities in a sense.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, because without this podcast, I would have just been a normal nurse, probably, leading a normal lifestyle. And man, I have never ever wanted to be normal. I'm not saying that I want to be abnormal, right?
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I want to be extraordinary rather than just be ordinary. So I thought of doing all this stuff, and no matter how tired I am,
Mm,
I'm still willing to go that extra mile towards my goals and my dreams. So if I am able to do it, and if Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, Dwayne Johnson, and all the other people can do it, then you guys can also do it for yourself. Yeah, because I truly believe that we only have one life to live as us. So why not live it live it fully with our full potential and unlocking our full potential?
mm.
That is the most amazing thing that we can ever do in our life.
Amazing. I mean, I wanted to end the show like that, and you just, without me asking it, you just, put the last lines together. And for me, this podcast is about people who can inspire others. Like you're the perfect example from where you started, your growth, your journey, and to where you are. It's really inspirational. And even about the podcast that inspires me, like when you said because of the podcast this happened, because of the podcast that happened, so I'm also getting that picture like okay, it's just my start. And we don't know, maybe in the near future or how long it might take, I don't know, but at least I'm in the path, I've started. So yeah, it
Yeah.
gives me those goosebumps, but at the same time it makes me feel happy. So before I leave you, Ray, my last question that I ask to all my guests is about legacy. What kind of legacy you want to leave behind? But you already have the name legacy in your brand name, and you have already spoken about that, I think, twice in the interview. So I leave it up to you, in a line, if you want to just conclude what kind of legacy you want to leave behind.
Okay. All right. So the kind of legacy that I want to leave behind is like what I've actually mentioned, is that I want to leave the world with positivity and a light to actually know that your mindset and your mental health is really really important, and they are very much correlated. So
Mm,
don't jeopardize your mental health, because I myself have seen mental patients in the hospital, and outside I've spoken to people who are way tougher, mentally tougher, and who are way better than these mental patients. It's of two very different planes that I'm talking about. And
yeah.
anyone can actually, from the top, become the bottom, and those people who are from the bottom can go to the top. So you and I are very, very, I would say, similar in terms of certain things.
Mm,
We are human. We have 5 fingers with 2 eyes, two ears, right? One
mm,
nose, right? But the thing is, our mindset can be similar. Our
mm,
mindset can be even different.
mm,
But what I want to leave behind is to let people know how important our mind is. Because without a healthy mind, we will not have a happy life. So that's why I want to leave this legacy behind, where I want people to know that it's not just about reaching your goals, being happy, being healthy physically, but also being healthy mentally and being happy inside and out is very important. So that's why
right.
I find that in order to be really successful, like the question that you actually asked me earlier, is to be happy inside and out, be healthy inside and out, to be able to achieve what you want in life, and to not just procrastinate and keep waiting and waiting for opportunities to drop from the sky. This is something that I want to leave behind for people to know that I can do anything that I always wanted to do, and able to achieve whatever that I always wanted to achieve, like being featured on newspaper, I thought that would be cool. But when I thought that, hey, I'm able to be featured on magazines, for example, that would even be cooler, and that will be even amazing as well, because I'll be able to share my story, my side of mindset and tips and all to the people around. I felt that if I can do it, why not you guys too?
Yep. Those are gems dropping in from Rayson, and I'm so thankful for you for being in my show, for dropping in these gems, for sharing your wisdom, for sharing your heart, for sharing your soul with all of us. And I know Rayson as a friend. He's truly very genuine, because like I said, when I met him for the podcast thing, and he gave me really the true inputs. I've also met a few others, but they had just filtered out all the important things. But when I spoke to you, you had given me almost all information. It's just that I didn't start it then. But yeah,
Yeah,
so so yeah, I know what a genuine person you are. And once again, thank you so much for your time, Rayson. Let's
sure.
see in the future how we can connect. And till we meet again, goodbye from here.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode. You can subscribe to my podcast from wherever you are listening. Hope you enjoyed and learned something from this episode. And if you did, would love if you take a screenshot of you listening to this podcast and tag me on Instagram. My handle is @Pallavi Kashyap. I will be dropping in the links below in the description. Do check that for more information. Until we meet again, remember to live an energized lifestyle, because that is the way to enjoy life fully.